We are awakening together. This is our weekly gathering we hold online. For more information, visit our website, awakening-together.org. We'd love to see you there.
Thank you, Marisol. Good morning, everybody. Good to be with you all. Let me just switch this to gallery view so I can see you all. So we're here. It is the last Sunday in May. Hard to believe, May 31st, and it is our regular weekly gathering. And the title of today's weekly gathering is "What's Thought Got to Do with It?" Do you hear the song yet? What's thought got to do with it? Tina Turner's been serenading me for weeks now. So, before we get started, God forbid Rhoda actually sing any longer. We are going to have Marisol play our opening song, which is "We Are Awakening" by Deva Premal and Mitten, while we greet one another on the chat. Let us know what's going on in your neck of the woods. Look at that. Zoom decided that it was time to stop speaking and just threw me out of the room. So I kind of find that funny. If it happens again, I'll be back. I'll be back. So first, I'd like to share the purpose of our assembly here. As you are all aware, we are an assembly of equals, joined in common purpose, awakening to one true self within an appearance of many faiths, many cultures, and many symbols. We seek to discern one truth and to rest in its embrace. So the core value that came in for me for this particular talk, what's thought got to do with it, is this one, core value number 4. We affirm one true self as the only truth. We live this value by embracing what is helpful on the path of awakening without idolizing any spiritual doctrine as truth. And so in that spirit, you'll hopefully, whatever is alive for you will be alive for you, and what isn't, you leave on the store, just like right on the shelf, just like we're in a grocery store. So first things first, very excited. I am going to ask Yolanda to come up and make our first announcement. I'm very excited for you all to see what Yolanda has created for us. Yolanda, it's all you.
Thank you, Rhoda, and thank you, everyone. I'm honored to make this announcement. Just quickly, over the last 2 years, this has been the hardest time in my life, and Thoughts of Awakening and our gatherings every morning has really kept me grounded. And so I created a new song, and I'm giving it as a gift to the community and to Regina. It's called Sparkle, and it's based on Regina's Thoughts of Awakening number 12. And I hope you enjoyed it. It's a disco diva roller skating song, and I just think it's fun and celebratory. And so the video is created with a little bit of AI. It's me and Regina roller skating together, and at the very end we have a guest appearance by Jasmine, which is truly sweet. And so both the song and the video are available as a free download to you as a thank you gift to all of you for being there for me. And so you can find the free download link to the audio on the resources page. And there's another free song on that page when you click called Did You Know, which is also donated to you guys. And you can download the Sparkle video if you want through the post Marisol will provide in the chat. But right now, Marisol's going to play the video, and then she'll place the link in the chat. So thanks, Marisol.
Look to the sparkle
that shines within, and let it lead you and shine its light on all you see. Embrace the sparkle, it is your truth. Look to the sparkle that shines within. Follow the sparkle, trust the sparkle, yeah. Listen to the sparkle, it is your truth. Look to the sparkle that shines within, and let it lead you and shine its light on all you see. Embrace the sparkle, it is your truth. Look to the sparkle that shines within. Follow the sparkle, trust the sparkle, listen to the sparkle, it is your truth. Look to the sparkle that shines within, and let it lead you and shine its light on all you see. Embrace the sparkle, it is your truth. Look to the sparkle that shines within. Follow the sparkle, trust the sparkle, listen to the sparkle, it is your truth. Look to the sparkle, look to the sparkle, yeah. Lead you, light on all you see. Thanks. I'm glad y'all like it. All right. Thank you so much. I'll turn this over to Rhoda for the next
God, that
round.
was beautiful. Thank you so much, Yolanda. How much fun is that? Thank you for that gift. What a gift. Such generosity to donate that to the community. Thank you. Thank you. I hope you'll all take advantage of downloading that video for yourself. Speaking of volunteers that do amazing things, it is time for nominations to begin for the trustee member board. We are at a point in the year where certain seats come open and are either being filled by new folks or refilled by folks who've already been serving on the trustee member board. We currently have 4 seats up for election, and we have 8 nominations so far. But this is a time where you can nominate folks who might be called to serve the community. So if there's someone else that you feel called, we're welcoming nominations for these seats. Currently, our nominees so far are Abigail Edwards, Fred Hamilton, Michelle Hojnacki, Marisol Landon, who is running for re-election, Regis Reeves, Sammy Ross, Shauna Summers, also running for reelection, and John Wetzel. So if there's someone else that you're feeling called to nominate, we would invite you to consider that, whether that be yourself or someone else. Just so you're aware, only an Awakening Together member can nominate themselves or another person for that position. If you are considering nominating someone that isn't you, we would suggest that you reach out to that person to make sure that they are, in fact, willing and interested before you make the nomination. And any nomination that is received by June 9th at 5 p.m. Eastern Time will be put on the nominee list. Just in case you don't know about the trustee member board, this is the board that is the leadership team that basically supports the president, minister, and the vice president to manage Awakening Together for all of the day-to-day activities. So they help with running retreats and all the subcommittees, benevolence and ministers and outreach and movies and visiting ministers. And I mean, on and on the list goes. They help with just about every aspect of the day-to-day operations of Awakening Together. So it's not something that we could be doing on our own. So we appreciate those who have been here and supported us. Both Joseph Schmitz and Cindy Krupp have elected not to run again. So I want to say thank you to them publicly for their service. But they will still be on the board through July. So not letting them off the hook just yet. And so the other thing I'd like you to know is that to be a trustee, you must be a member of Awakening Together for at least 2 years. So if you've just joined Awakening Together, it probably isn't your time, but in 2 years, you're more than welcome. If you have been a member for 2 years, you are absolutely eligible to run to be a trustee on the member board. Every single nominee will be placed on a ballot, and the ballot will be sent to all Awakening Together members by Wednesday, on Wednesday, June 24th. And you will be able to vote until Wednesday, July 8th at 5 p.m. We will also have an opportunity to meet the candidates on Sunday. I'm going to say that's June 28th. And that'll either be at 6 or 6:30. I would just advise checking the sanctuary calendar, where you can come and just hear a little bit more from the candidates. And I believe Marisol's already placed a link in the chat. And if you have any questions at all, feel free to reach out to us, take a look at the website, let us know what's on your mind. So that's the first announcement that I'm here to make. The second announcement I want to make is that we have openings in the sanctuary. So if you're being called, if you're feeling the nudge to come and share in the sanctuary, we warmly invite you. We have opportunities on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month from 7 to 8:30 p.m. We also have an opportunity weekly on Sundays from 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern Time. That's immediately following Yolanda's program. And if you're considering this, just know that teaching in the sanctuary is really a powerful way to deepen into whatever lessons it is that you are currently teaching yourself. For any of us who've actually had the opportunity to share, it just gives us the opportunity to deepen into what we know and to get clear about that knowing. Yeah. So we look forward to seeing how and who might be inspired to fill those spots. If you are feeling called, please do reach out to us. Marisol has just placed a link in the chat. You can read the post there, and there will be a place to connect with us on that particular post, or you can email Shauna or Marisol directly. They're happy to hear from you. And I am going to turn this over to Melody to make the final announcement.
Thank you, Rhoda. And I appreciate being able to come and make this announcement. But first, I just want to say, Yolanda, that was just absolutely thrilling. And it's just so amazingly generous for you to donate that to Awakening Together. So thank you for that. I am here to announce a online Sangha-led retreat planning meeting coming up next Sunday. And so this will be an opportunity to practice, reflect, and collaborate in community as we come together to co-create the next online Sangha-led retreat. And I was a part of the first one, and it was just so incredibly meaningful that I was excited that we're going to have another one. And when you come to this first meeting, so we'll engage in discussions about what the retreat is going to look like. And then, people can decide to facilitate a portion of it or not. You're not obligated to do that. But of course, if you do that, you probably will get more from it, right? Because we learn what we teach. So we'll have time to see what it's going to look like. And then after that meeting, attendees will have time to reflect on whether they feel called to commit to the retreat. And then if you want to participate in the retreat, you'll submit a deposit. And the date of the online retreat will be determined by the participants. So you don't have to worry about, I'm not available. That will adjust to people's schedules. So the first planning meeting is next Sunday, June 7th. That will be from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time, and it'll be here in the sanctuary. So if this calls to you and feels good, then please just attend this meeting. You don't have to register anything like that. You just come next Sunday. And after that, there will be another meeting or two to solidify the agenda and make sure everybody knows what their part in it will be. And I hope you come. I'd love to see, we have a good group already showing some interest, exciting. So I hope you'll join that group and be one of those amazing people. And Marisol has put the link in the chat if you want more information. So thank you.
Thank you, Melody. Thank you again, Yolanda. Just really a blessing. So we're going to open with our opening song. And just a little bit of background on this song. I had the nudge, like first, immediately, like, oh, this is your opening song. But for whatever reason, I didn't end up actually sending that to Marisol. And when I sat in front of the computer this morning, I could just feel this, like, yeah, no, that's the song. Marisol was kind enough to say, okay, she'd be flexible for me and play it for me. I'm not sure when I heard this song first, but I'm pretty sure it was at a weekly gathering. And it's called I'm Not What Happened to Me. And it's by the Good Vibe Tribes, 1111. And I'll just say that it feels like the perfect setup for the reading. When I heard this song again, it was at the end of the circling experience that I had in North Carolina, the in-person circling experience. And I could feel so clearly how quickly thought turns into a sense of a me that needs to be protected based on all of these past projections. And so it feels like the perfect opening song for us today. Marisol, if you would please. Thank you, Marisol. I'm not what happened to me. So perhaps you'll join me. Take a moment just to check in right now, right in this moment. Feel the aliveness just coursing through everything in the sense field. All of it perfectly welcomed, nothing rejected, everything exactly as it is. Amen. Everything exactly as it is. So, as I said, the title for today is What's Thought Got to Do with It? Over the days that I spent at the retreat in North Carolina, the one question I heard consistently over and over and over and over and over and over again was, is that a thought? Is that a thought? Look right now. Is that a thought? Over and over and over and over. And it almost didn't matter what the question was. Actually, not almost. It absolutely did not matter what the question was. Because the answer was, is that a thought? Day in and day out, hearing, is that a thought? Is that a thought? You, I couldn't help but look and see, is that a thought? What I could see is there's this identification that happens with mind, and it creates a me that needs to be protected. And so it felt really alive to just go back and spend a little time contemplating the very beginning of the chapter that Angelo DiLullo wrote on thoughts. So Joseph Schmitz has offered to, or has agreed, I should say, to be our reader today. And he is going to be reading from Awake, It's Your Turn by Angelo DiLullo. And we are basically reading pages 257 to just right to the top of 260. So if you are a person who likes to read along, feel free to grab your book. And if you want to just sit back and listen, Joe is going to be kind enough to read this for us. Thank you, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Rhoda. Hey, everyone. It's good to be here. Happy to see everyone. This is, as Rhoda said, this is from chapter 12. Title of the chapter is Thoughts, and the introduction to the chapter. Angelo writes, many years ago, I was reading a book about Zen Buddhism, and one line of text seemed to jump right off the page. It struck me like a bolt of lightning. It wasn't the literal meaning of the statement that struck me. This statement had power beyond the words that conveyed it. It reached deep inside me, beyond the limits of my cognitive faculties. It resonated in a part of my being that I hadn't been consciously in touch with for some time. It illuminated and awoke something primal, something instinctual, something that quite honestly felt ancient. There was an intimate knowing that a profound truth was being illuminated in this one simple sentence. It was a living truth, a living thing. The sentence was, thinking is the disease of a human mind. Thinking is the disease of the human mind. I'd always known that certain thoughts felt uncomfortable. I knew that overthinking caused me to feel frustrated, anxious, and even helpless at times. In my teen years, I remember thinking over and over, what's wrong with me? It felt extremely uncomfortable. Yet it didn't occur to me that the thoughts themselves and how I was taking them to be, quote, about me, were what was causing the discomfort. I assumed the suffering was because I couldn't find the elusive solution to the problem of, quote, what's wrong with me? I believed that thought. Rather, I believed the assumption that it made, that there was something wrong with me in the first place. Worse, I believed I had to use thought to solve this, quote, big problem. In actuality, putting so much effort into the thinking is what was causing and then reinforcing the sense of there being a problem in the first place. It's sort of like your hair being on fire, and then you try to put it out by pouring gasoline on your head. Of course, that just makes the fire worse, but if you don't realize the gas is causing the fire and believe it can put the fire out, you will just repeat that cycle. Someone who wants to, and this is a quote, someone who wants to attain enlightenment must be brave. He must rush into the crowd of enemies with a dagger. In the practice of Zen, enemies are our delusive thoughts and passions. That's from Count Yamada. Because thoughts felt so integral to who I was, I couldn't quite elucidate that the nature of thought itself had to be investigated if I ever wanted to address the pervasive sense of self-doubt and isolation in my life. This one sentence and the effect it had on me in that moment changed all that. The suffering caused by thought didn't immediately abate, but I knew where to look and that I had to find ways to investigate this matter in earnest. My heart told me that this was an important piece of the puzzle. It took me quite some time to realize the full implications of what I had glimpsed. There are nuances to this statement that take some experience and realization to appreciate and integrate. I want to make a few points of clarity along these lines. First, it is important to know that this statement is not referring to all types of thought. It is referring to a specific type of thought that just so happens to constitute the majority of our thinking. This statement is specifically referring to discursive or self-referential thought. Self-referential thoughts are the endless thoughts about, quote, me. This me and the way discursive thoughts function is a very distorted version of what you are. This me and the way discursive thoughts function is a very distorted version of what you are. It is also largely hidden in that it is typically assumed or presupposed inside the content of the various thoughts. It's sort of like joining a television program after it's already begun, and it is assumed that you already know the characters. The content of these self-referential thoughts revolves around, quote, my past and my future, my problems and potential solutions. What we don't realize is that these types of thoughts constantly assume and reinforce two views. The first is, I am separate from everything and everyone else. This view brings with it a pervasive sense of isolation and loneliness. The second view is, there is a big problem to solve, and only when I have solved that can I be happy, relaxed, and at peace. Only when I have solved that can I be happy, relaxed, and at peace. Together, these lead to a deepening sense of shame that says, quote, I am not good enough. Helplessness that says, no matter how much I do, I can never seem to solve the problem of me, and exhaustion. The second point I want to make is that this statement is not suggesting that the mere presence of thoughts is what is causing our unhappiness and pain. The presence of thoughts is, in and of itself, harmless. It is our relationship with thoughts that is the core issue. It is the way we interact with thoughts that causes all the confusion, doubt, chronic distraction, and that gnawing sense of isolation. In short, suffering. Understanding this, we see that there is no need to try to stop thinking or go to battle with our thoughts. Doing either of these would be counterproductive. As mentioned, it is our relationship with thought, not the presence of thought, that is at the root of the issue. Thus, it is most profitable to investigate the nature of this relationship. Lastly, I want to emphasize that this disease of the human mind we are talking about does not refer to planning, creativity, intelligence, problem solving, logical reasoning, or empirical scientific methods. Indeed, once the distortions in our relationship with thought are sorted out, these cognitive functions become far more accessible, efficient, and precise. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Truly, truly appreciate you and the thorough reading of that. So the statement that struck Angelo so deeply was this. I'm just going to say it again because it is a very powerful statement. Thinking is the disease of the human mind. This is not a new lesson, I suspect, for a single person in this room. This isn't something that you haven't heard before, something that Regina hasn't shown us before, something that Regina hasn't taught before, something that you haven't seen in your own experience. And yet, the ways in which my relationship to thought seems to be unraveling at this point keeps pointing back to what's thought got to do with it. It honestly feels like the most basic question. And very early on in many of the retreats that Regina had written, she speaks about mind watching and, ways of looking at the thoughts that come up in the mind. And it wasn't until I joined Awakening Together that I actually got clear that not only do thoughts appear, but they aren't actually my thoughts. My thoughts seem to happen when I start thinking about thoughts. And that feels like the relationship to thoughts. And one of the practices that really helped me to clearly see this, to actually see my power in terms of choosing, was the mind dump practice that Anne teaches in the mornings, and I believe starts again maybe Wednesday this week. She'll be starting it again. And one of the very powerful things for me that really, really worked was I would do the mind dump, write down thought after thought after thought, like whatever was coming up. And then rather than going back and saying, okay, I already know these are all thoughts, I would actually read every single thought and ask, is that a thought? And if I could feel emphatically yes, I would write a T next to it. And after doing that over and over and over again, what became very clear for me was I am actually seeing thought happen. So if I can see it, it must not be me. So what exactly is my relationship to these thoughts? And as I continue to investigate my relationship to thought, what I am seeing is how me gets invented with the thought, with the sense perception. One of the things that I heard shared at the retreat I was at, by the way, I just made this assumption that everybody's been listening to everything I've been saying, like, hello, Rhoda. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to attend the multimodality retreat in North Carolina with Angelo DiLullo. And during that retreat, there were like these breakout sessions that we would go to. And in these breakout sessions, there were Q&As. And the Q&As were with different folks from Angela's community. And during one of the Q&As with Josh Putnam, who some of you may know, we did a satsang with him. One of the things that he kept pointing to was the way that thought triangulates. And I thought it was a very helpful thing to see how the relationship with thought begins. In the reading, Angelo was saying, and I feel like this illustrates it perfectly. He was talking about his first point where he talked about the statement specifically referring to self-referential thoughts. Self-referential thoughts are the endless thoughts about me. And so in this point about triangulation, basically what Josh was pointing to was every time a thought comes in, essentially what it is intending to do is to create a sense of me that's having the thought. So maybe you'll just take a moment with me and take a look for yourself. When he talked about triangulation, what he was pointing to was notice anything in your sense field right now. Sound, a sight, a feeling in your gut. And when you've found something in your sense field, notice the first thought that comes into your mind. And here's what I notice. I look out and I see a green wall of trees. And the first thought I heard was, that's green. And on the surface, that doesn't sound like there's any relationship whatsoever with that thought. But what I noticed is the more I look at it, the more I realize that even the label, that's green, refers to a me who knows what that is and has now described it in a way that actually doesn't tell me a darn thing about what it actually is, but it creates a me who thinks it knows. So when Josh made this point that it triangulates, what I could see is basically everything is rising exactly as it is, but the sense perception kicks in. And then thought comes in and starts describing it. I heard Regina once describe this like talking about walking to the refrigerator. Like, do you notice the thought that comes in after that says I'm walking to the refrigerator? It creates a me that is walking to a thing. It feels so clear to me, like this triangle happens. Like there's a that over there. It creates a separate me, and the whole world arises within that separate me, and everything becomes a reference to that separate me. So when I kept hearing to every question over and over and over again, is that a thought? I could see how it didn't really matter how I now know what I didn't know before. I want to say 12 years of doing the work with Byron Katie and doing Judge Thy Neighbor worksheets, hiring a facilitator to do those worksheets with me because I was determined to end the suffering. That in all of that time, I had no idea that they weren't my thoughts, that they're thoughts that arise, and that I'm actually seeing those thoughts. But the truth is, even though I know this emphatically, I still see a relationship to thought. One of the thoughts in particular that I see a relationship to is this thought that I'm not good enough. Some people hear it as I am bad. Some people hear it as, actually, I don't know. I just know that I'm not good enough. That one's just really reigns in this mind. And the more that I watch the different ways that I'm not good enough perpetuates, the more I realize that it is very deeply ingrained. But what I've been taught over and over again through different teachings is that the more I am able to actually see a thought in all its zillions of permutations, the more likely it is that when I am aware wait, that's a thought, I don't need to believe that thought, I don't need to follow that thought, the more likely that that pathway is going to dry up and a new groove is going to get created. It's exactly the same with every single thought. Like every judgment that arises, like a judgment that, oh, they're not authentic. Why would I see that not as a thought? When I see that as a thought, and I realize that isn't what I choose any longer, that pathway starts to dry up. And one of the things that I've discovered about this relationship with thought is that the feelings in my body reinforce through thought the idea that it shouldn't be here. So if I hear I'm not good enough, and I'll just say like the way it'll come up for me, the way I've noticed it most recently these days is not wanting to be seen, meaning like I get the nudge to go for a walk, like it's time to go for a walk. It's time to get up and move around. And something inside of me has this sense like, no, you can't go for a walk. People will see you. I'm not good enough, right? And so when that comes in, this like rush of shame and humiliation comes in. And the fear of feeling that is how the thought gets reinforced. Like if I'm afraid to feel this that comes up with that thought, then I am now creating a relationship to a thought that says I'm afraid of it, that I can't possibly feel it, that it must be true, that there is a me that could possibly be whatever it is that this thought says that I am. So what I keep noticing is that the more I unravel from any thought that points to, in any sort of underlying way, that I'm not good enough, it's like the more places it tries to hide, it just starts showing itself in different places. Like I've heard from some people that it just pops, like it just suddenly ends for them. Maybe that'll happen. I don't know. I've had periods of time where I couldn't possibly believe an I'm not good enough thought. I don't care what you do. Like, I don't care what you said to me. There like periods of time where there was no way I was believing that thought. It was literally as if you were calling me a paperclip. Like, it made no sense whatsoever. But for whatever reason, I don't want to say whatever reason. I think what I'm starting to see really clearly is this particular I'm not good enough thought still has tentacles. It's still got places that it reaches. It's still got areas to be uncovered. And so, what I feel like I've been pointed back to is to just stay with what is, seeing thought, and to give myself permission to slow that momentum. And frankly, in my life, that feels like one of the hardest things to do because I can feel how strongly, I've got a job, I've got things to do, I have things that are expected of me, I have a family. Like you can hear all the I. Like I don't have the space to slow it down. And I don't think that I have actually allowed myself. Well, I don't know. I'm going to stop that for a second because I don't know. The guidance I'm getting right now is to slow that momentum down, to make more space for sitting, for being with what is, and for giving myself permission to follow the natural tendencies. I'll tell you a little story that I think I actually told in the sanctuary the other day, but it feels alive right now. Over the last several months, I'd become keenly aware that I am not trusting my body. I don't feel safe in my body, is a story that keeps arising. And that's one of the places that I've noticed this I'm not good enough belief. And so I have, methodically been giving myself the opportunity to do this very sort of slow getting back into exercise routine. And I mean slow. Like I started like with 5 to 8 minutes of walking a day, like 8 weeks ago. And now we are up to 22 minutes a day. I mean, I'm talking slow and doing some strength and like doing some balance work, just reacquainting, just getting comfortable, getting the body moving again. Sometime the middle of last week. So and so what often has happened in life, like as I've gotten older, I hear in my mind a thought that says every time I step on a step, a thought that says, you're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. You're gonna fall. Watch it. You're gonna fall. And it says it over and over and over again. Well, after weeks of like doing this work, like that thought started to get quiet in the mind. Middle last week, I'm coming down the steps. I'm home from retreat and I slip on my butt down the stairs. Boom. Nice and hard, hit my tailbone. And what would normally happen in that case is A, I wouldn't tell anybody because I'm not good enough and no one should know. And B, I would try to go about my day as if nothing happened. No matter how much pain I was in, I would pretend like I was just fine and don't worry about me. And I'm just going to sit here. I'm just, I'm going to continue to make dinner. I'm going to continue to do everything I do. And that is me ignoring the natural tendency. That's what I would normally do. What happened on this day was I realized like I wasn't feeling good. It hurt. My body hurt. I wasn't feeling good. And I could feel that what desire was to just rest, like just sit on the couch and rest. And I literally let that be what happened. Follow the natural tendency to just rest. And the next morning I woke up, zero pain, as if it didn't happen, as if it didn't happen at all. But what I could see most clearly is that thought covers over my natural tendencies. Thought covers over what I would intuitively know to do. Your body gets hurt. You do what your body asks for. Your body asks to move. You go ahead and you move. But when there's a relationship with thought that says a thought, and in my case, the I'm not good enough thought, it's like rapid fire. Like, I'm not good enough. And all the reasons that you have to try to maintain this mask that just isn't the truth at all. So I guess what I keep seeing is that the more I pay attention to thoughts and see them for what they are, thoughts, the less likely I am to believe them. One of the very, very helpful pointings for me during this retreat was this: you are reincarnated with every thought. So you don't really have to worry about reincarnation because it's happening all the time. You are reincarnated with every single thought. And that's just the truth of it. If what we have learned in in Keys to the Kingdom, I'm going to say, forgive me, this number is probably wrong, but my mind is telling me that 80% of the thoughts we have are negative thoughts. And trust me, those negative thoughts are not about other people. Even though they may point at other people, they are about me. So if that's true, then that means, like Angelo said here, just point back to it. That he said this statement is specifically referring to self-referential thought. Self-referential thoughts are the endless thoughts about me. This me, in the way discursive thoughts function, is a very distorted version of what you are. It's also largely hidden in that it's typically assumed or presupposed inside the content of the various thoughts. So it's like walking into a television show in the middle of the story where you've already assumed that there's a me. Thinking is the disease of the mind. And I guess I'll close by saying this. It feels incredibly fortunate to me that in all the possibilities of all the ways that I could be living this life, that someone has tapped me and every single person in the room on their shoulder and said, hey, do you know what you are? Hey, do you actually know who you are? Let's look at it together. Let's find out what the truth is. Let's stop pretending that we are what we are not. We are this. How fortunate are we that we got tapped on the shoulder, that we got curious enough, that we felt the call enough, that, amen, honestly, that we suffered enough to want to know the truth. I am grateful to be on this journey with each and every one of you. I am grateful beyond words, beyond words. So, looking at the time, I realize it is time to go to our next song. And as we contemplate this, the song we're going to be listening to is called One, and it's by the band called Bird Talker. And maybe you know this hum that is the vibration of all of life that Bird Talker speaks to. Thank you, Marisol. God, that video is stunning. As you all know, we are supported by your presence, by your service, and by your donations. If you feel guided to donate, Marisol has placed a link in the chat, and there's also a QR code if you're in gallery mode. We are grateful for your donations, for your service, and for your presence. And we have time. If anybody has anything they'd like to share, anything they'd like to contemplate, anything on your heart. Regina.
Yeah, I guess I'll just say, I don't know where you think you are on this spiritual path. I know how that, I call it the I am bad thought. I know how it can make you think, you're not going anywhere. But I mean, the things that you are seeing, even the constant I, that actually shows a lot of progress. I mean, there was a time when all of those thoughts were running in the mind and you just believed them all. You didn't even notice them, right? They were like invisibly believed. So I don't know. I just want to encourage you. I was really grateful when you talked about how grateful you are to be on this path with everyone, and I'm grateful for your gratitude. I'm grateful for your sincerity. I'm grateful for your progress. And the only reason I'm speaking is just to be a different voice than that other one in the head. That's the only reason I'm talking. Don't listen to it. And you're on your way to not listening to it. You've already had glimpses of not listening to it. So and I also want to tell you, although this isn't as important as everything else I've just said, but I heard your thought about, go for a walk, people will see me. I just want to tell you what my thought is, literally. Every time my eyes see you on the screen, literally, I'm not making this up, Rhoda. I think how beautiful you are. So that isn't as important as the other stuff I said, because that does refer to the physical appearance. But I just wanted you to know that, not everyone looks at you the way those thoughts are trying to tell you. It's just not true, so that's it.
Thank you, Regina. It is an incredibly what's the word? It's a loop with a lot of momentum. I think that's what I see. It's a loop with a lot of momentum. And it feels really helpful to be slowing it way down and seeing it in every version and every way that it shows up. Thank you. Anyone else like to share? All right, I'm going to ask Marisol to play our final song, and I'm going to apologize right up front. I am not going to be able to stay today. I have a meeting with the board of directors, so I won't be able to stay for weekly fellowship. But this song is called "The Best Day of My Life" by American authors, and I'm just going to say, it dawned on me that every day is actually the best day of my life. Like, this is the day. It's the only day I have. So of course it's the best day of my life. This song makes me so happy. I hope it does that for you too. I love you all. Thank you. The best day of my life. Love you all. Have a great day.
You've been watching our online gathering. It happens weekly on Sundays at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time. To join us live in the sanctuary, visit our website, awakening-together.org. You'll want to click on Online Sanctuary in the main menu, and then in the drop-down menu, look for How to Enter the Sanctuary. Right there at the top of the page is a clickable link. We'd love to see you in the sanctuary and join with you in fellowship. Thank you again for watching. Also, please know that if you'd like to stay connected via the Awakening Together channel here on YouTube, you can subscribe and hit the bell for more notifications. We hope to see you in the sanctuary.